Medische disclaimer. De inhoud van deze video is niet bedoeld als vervanging voor professionele medische diagnose of behandeling. Vraag altijd advies aan uw arts of een andere gekwalificeerde zorgverlener als u vragen heeft over een medische aandoening en zorg altijd voor de juiste behandeling voor ernstige medische aandoeningen. Wettelijke disclaimer. Gebruik alleen wettelijke maatregelen om het virus te bestrijden en werk samen met overheidsfunctionarissen, eerste hulpverleners en gezondheidswerkers om het coronavirus te vernietigen en met gepaste spoed een perfecte samenleving te creëren. Gebruik uw gezonde boerenverstand, logica en help uw medemensen indien nodig, ook om het risico op verplichte vaccinatie te verlagen en de pandemie zo snel mogelijk te beëindigen. Het doel van mijn video's is niet om mensen te lasteren of te triggeren, maar om het tegenovergestelde te doen, het blootleggen wanneer mensen ten onrechte worden beschuldigd en universele vrede, wereldvrede of gewoon vrede op aarde creëren. Mensen zijn onschuldig totdat ze schuldig zijn bevonden in de rechtbank. Iemand die van bewijs weet, moet getuigen. Niemand mag zonder een eerlijk proces worden veroordeeld. Gegoed superieure wezens, gegoed superieur organismen, welkom op Perfect Society. Ik ben Ulrich Hofman en u kijkt naar de uitzending 5G LTE Kanker Antennes in Mijdrecht zonder. De inhoud van deze video is niet bedoeld als vervanging voor professionele staat nog aan, sorry. Disclaimer stond nog aan. Dus dit is de uitzending 5G LTE Kanker Antennes in Mijdrecht zonder Experimenteer Vergunning. Dus laat ik maar gelijk met de deur in huis vallen. De chat staat aan. En hier zien we een antenne in Mijdrecht. Antennes waar ik het over heb. LTE-antennes. Want ik ben eens in het, op het Antennebureau.nl op de website gaan rondneuzen. En op de Antenneregister.nl website. En dan kunt u zien dat we in feite tussen een aantal antennes zitten hier in Mijdrecht. Ik woon hier ergens. Dus hier en hier staan microgolfantennes. Microgolf, dus kankerveroorzakende antennes. Die onnatuurlijke gepulseerde elektromagnetische velden creëren, genereren. En mensen zijn daar continu aan blootgesteld. Dus ik doe niet alsof 3 en 4G wel veilig zouden zijn. Absoluut niet. Het is al lang wetenschappelijk aangetoond dat het meerdere schadelijke effecten heeft op de volksgezondheid, op het lichaam van de mens. En die studies heb ik ook, wetenschappelijke studies, heb ik in mijn vorige uitzendingen belicht. Dus we kunnen kijken naar die antenne die we hier zien op Google Earth, Google Maps. Dus dit is gewoon in Mijdrecht. Hier verderop staat nog een antenne. Staat aan de andere kant. Waarschijnlijk daar ergens. Het is een beetje moeilijk te zien door de vrachtauto. Hier staat er bijvoorbeeld één. Dit is één. Maar dat is geen 5G antenne. Maar goed, die andere laat ik zo wel zien. Eventueel, het gaat nu eventjes om deze antenne hier. Bij, hoe heet het ook alweer? Seats en Sofa's in Mijdrecht. En deze antenne hier is van LTE op 2.605 megahertz. En dit zijn LTE-antennes. Dat kunnen we hier op de vorige pagina zien. LTE Mijdrecht. 2.605 gigahertz, 2605 megahertz. en 2660 megahertz. En dan kunnen we lezen in de veldsterkte metingen op 5G testlocaties, een document van 2019. Het 5G-lab gebruikt in deze testopstelling frequentiespectrum van 2590 tot 2620 megahertz. De gebruikte interface technologie was LTE 4G. Dus moet ik daaruit opmaken dat ze 4G technologie voor 5G gebruiken. En dit waren tests. Dus er wordt hier beweerd dat ze experimenteervergunningen hebben verleend. En dit is niet wanneer die experimenteervergunning ingaat, maar de einddatum van de vergunningen. En daar zie ik ook tussen landelijk 700 megahertz, einddatum van de vergunning 1 oktober 2020. Dus hoe moet ik dat interpreteren? Dat het testen al beëindigd is en dat het nu gewoon uitgerold mag worden? Of moeten we denken, dit is stiekem geen 5G van LTE? Of dat het geen schade toebrengt aan de volksgezondheid, wat al lang bewezen is. En mensen ook kunnen bewijzen met de herproduceerbare test. Als mensen een kankermobieltje, een 5G kankermobieltje, gebruiken, 90 seconden, dan hebben ze daarna die samenklonterende rode bloedcellen, een symptoom bij doktoren bekend als rouleau, ook wel rolls of coins genoemd. Dus de telecombedrijven verdienen hier miljarden aan de abonnementen en ook aan de kankermobieltjes die ze moeten gaan vervangen zodra 4G ook uitgefaseerd wordt, zoals 3G. En het is natuurlijk ideaal om de aarde te ontvolken. Duurzaamheid is democide, ook gecoverd in mijn vorige uitzendingen. Dus daar is dit natuurlijk voor bedoeld. Ook omdat het duidelijk is dat het wel degelijk de perifere T-lymfocytproductie wordt aangetast door de 5G kankerstraling, wat wetenschappelijk bewezen is. Ook in de vorige uitzending heb ik dat al belicht. En de modificatie in de hersengolf wordt gedaan met synthetische telepathie en scalargolven. Maar de hoofdzuizing is kennelijk toch van deze antennes. Dus de mensen die dat normaal bij mij doen, die ook mijn tanden uit mijn mond hebben gemarteld en mijn moeder dood hebben gemarteld met stralingswapens, die doen dat waarschijnlijk niet. Waarschijnlijk kunnen ze er niks aan doen. Want die antennes die zorgen voor de hoofdzuizing. En dat is dus geen tinnitus, maar een hoofdzuizing, geen zuizing in het oor. En ook veroorzaakt het kanker. Dus ik ben 10 jaar terug heb ik al chemotherapie ondergaan. En op het moment heb ik pijn in mijn rechterbeen. En ik denk dat dat wel degelijk ook door de blootstelling aan de straling is. Ook is er wat lijkt een kleine insectenbeet, of heb ik mijn knie geschaafd, maar ik weet niet hoe ik die dan geschaafd zou hebben. En dat is weer bijna genezen, dus dat is bijna niet meer te zien. Maar goed, ik ga er maar wat van die hormonen zelf op doen. Dat is het enige wat helpt. Ik heb ook heel veel andere dingen geprobeerd, jodium. En doktoren hebben andere zalfjes voorgeschreven. Maar dat was iets op mijn enkel. En dat zou hetzelfde kunnen zijn, dezelfde infectie. Maar nu gaat het wat beter met mijn been, dus ben ik toch maar niet naar de huisarts gegaan. Maar als dat weer slechter zou worden, dan ga ik wel degelijk naar de huisarts. Ik heb geen zin om de hele tijd pijn te hebben. Maar volgens mij komt dat door de hoofdzuizing dat het erger wordt. En wordt dat veroorzaakt door deze LTE-antennes. Dus dat is eigenlijk het hele verhaal al. We kunnen dit nog eventjes lezen op antennebureau.nl en het antenneregister verder bekijken. Dus de antennes die hier dichterbij staan, die ik in vorige uitzendingen heb belicht, die we ook op de foto kunnen zien, die staan bij het tankstation Thurkow en die hebben een andere frequentie, 806 megahertz dacht ik, en 1.835 gigahertz, als ik het goed onthouden heb. En dat kan dus ook 5G zijn. Dus ze hebben twee frequency ranges. FR1 is beneden 6 gigahertz en FR2 van 6 tot 100 gigahertz. Dus daarbinnen kunnen ze opereren. En ik heb ook het gebruik van 5G voor crowd control belicht in mijn vorige uitzendingen. Bij de Amsterdam Arena hebben ze dat ook al uitgerold. Dus de vraag is, staat het nu in heel Nederland? En is het stiekem toch 5G? Nieuwe witte LTE-antennes. En deze is heel hoog, dus een hoge mast. En het kan zijn dat ze ons proberen te conditioneren, dus dat ze me kniepijn doen als ik het heb over 5G-antennes, dat we het daar niet over mogen hebben. Dat we moeten doen alsof onze neus al bloedt. Ik ben geprogrammeerd om te lachen als ze me een verspreking laten maken. Ik oefen de hele tijd. Zoals ik niet aan het uitzenden ben, dan laat de AI, synthetische telepathiemachine, maar geen versprekingen maken. Dus ja, het kan geen toeval zijn. Dus de microgolfstraling is te shielden met aluminiumfolie en dergelijke, maar de scalargolven niet. En het kan zijn dat ze die gebruiken om te zorgen dat mensen zich niet beschermen tegen de microgolfstraling, die dus de chromosomen beschadigt, het DNA en het kankerrisico aanzienlijk verhoogt en samenklontende rode bloedcellen veroorzaakt en nog veel meer symptomen die mensen hebben door de carcinogene straling. Dus de giftige, onnatuurlijke straling bestaan ook geneeskrachtige elektromagnetische velden. Maar daar mogen we het wel helemaal niet over hebben natuurlijk als we moeten ontvolken. Neem ik aan. Dus wat ik ook heb bedacht net is dat het niet zo kan zijn dat de 5G-straling helemaal geen enkele invloed op SARS-CoV-2 heeft, het virus wat COVID-19 veroorzaakt, omdat alles een natuurlijke frequentie heeft, een eigenfrequentie. Dus het heeft een gunstige invloed op of ongunstige invloed, omdat die straling nou eenmaal door het virus gaat. Als mensen in de straling zitten, als mensen ontvangst hebben, dan zitten ze in de straling. En dan gaat de straling door hun brein en hun lichaam natuurlijk. Dat is nogal virus. En nogmaals, voorkomen is beter dan genezen. Dus dit is wel te shielden. Scalargolven zijn niet te shielden. En ik denk dat het mogelijk is dat ze me daarmee aanvallen. Omdat ik weer een ontvolkingsmethode blootleg. Of klinkt expose beter? Eens kijken wat Tony in de chat schrijft. Tony writes, I've heard that 4G antennas also can be switched on 5G. I've heard that 4G antennas can also be switched on 5G transmission just with an app. I mean with software. Important, informative, YouTube. A YouTube link, thanks Tony. Well, the Dutch, what is it? Antennebureau.nl writes, they've made a report. I can show that here. Rapport veldsterkte metingen op 5G testlocaties. So it's a report about the electromagnetic field strength of the 5G on the 5G test locations, basically, and that's in September 2019. And they're the results of their measurements. But they have an insane, what do I call it? Yesterday I covered it. An insane safety standard, an unsafety standard to reduce the global population. It's in one of these documents. They have an insane limit of 28 volt per meter. Though it should be kept below 0.1 microwatt per square meter according to building biologists. And the WHO and ICNIRP are the people behind this population reduction standard to kill millions of people with radiation yearly. So according to Medscape.com, 1 in 2 people get cancer, and that's no reason for alarm to these people. They roll out another layer of cancer cell phone radiation transmitting antennas. And this is just the beginning, of course. People are suffering already. It's even possible the dropping dead due to this technology, the WeGig 60 GHz boxes that I've covered. And according to scientists, it blocks the oxygen uptake by the human body, so that's simple. Then they get blue lips and then they drop dead, though they don't have COVID-19 symptoms, no fever, nothing. They just fall over. So is anybody investigating if there's any truth to that rumor? Or are they just scientific facts? They know that oxygen absorbs 5G 60 GHz radiation of WeGig boxes for 98%, like H2O absorbs the 2.45 GHz radiation. That's why they use that for microwave ovens, cancer microwave ovens, to boil food, to heat food. Okay, so they're doing it deliberately. They know that it has these detrimental effects on human health to reduce the global population, to achieve sustainability. And it's possible these secret societies have infiltrated your government, and they've already taken over the government with the synthetic telepathy machine and remote torture technology. So scalar waves can only be blocked by a Tesla plasma shield. Microwaves are easy to shield with aluminum foil on the wall, grounded. And I might put up some more foil. I want my leg to heal and I don't want to sit here with a ringing in the head. And there is less ringing now. But it's still not completely gone. It's not the way it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And of course that might develop slowly, and also our body might adjust slowly, so then we have that ringing in the head for a while. And it doesn't mean the radiation is gone when the ringing disappears. And they'd misdiagnose it as tinnitus and prescribe some more chemical-less cancer-causing prescription drugs which have a synergistic effect with cancer-causing electromagnetic radiation, according to Dr. Cyril Smith. So let's watch the video. Tony sent a link.
Aloha everyone.
What is 5G and what isn't. Deborah Green, PhD, keepyourpower.org. And I also want to watch more Sam Vecnan videos. And then there was this recently banned video of doctors. So the question is indeed if the crisis they're generating with the social distance measures will kill a lot more people than the virus. When society collapses and all these companies go bankrupt because they have no customers anymore. Well, if there's a second wave, they'll claim it's as mutated, like with their Ebola loss attack Myra Camara. Then it's possible they'll continue this lockdown till 2022. The Harvard people, green.harvard.com or whatever, that are pursuing sustainability, population reduction to 5 or 100 million, total global population, think that's a good idea, basically. So yeah, of course it can kill more people when all these companies are gone and the taxpayers have to pay for the bankruptcy of, for example, the airline companies. That's a lot of money. Then they won't have money for food and things they really need anymore. So I think that looking at expenditures of the governments is also a good thing. How we can minimize the crisis and prevent recession, and that can be done by generating an economic surge, giving an impulse somehow. I'm not an economist, but there might be people that know how to prevent a crisis. It will also kill lots of people, also lead to suicides, etc. Besides the theory, I think that's a theory, that the lockdown makes people scared, sort of, and that would make them more prone to viruses, that it lowers their immune system, etc. I doubt that. And I've shown colloidal silver's mechanism of action. So if they haven't tested its effectiveness, we know it's more effective and safer than chloroquine, for example. The trials were pretty bad. The test results that I've seen. So twice as many people that used chloroquine died compared to people that didn't use anything. And even more people died when they used a combination of chloroquine and some other drug. I didn't look at whether the virus was gone after that or not. Though you could argue that's not irrelevant. But okay, then the question is, can they become recontaminated if they haven't built up antibodies, if the virus was killed? And if it's an antibody-dependent virus, then... I switched to English somehow, I was talking Dutch. Well, that has to do with my state, when people are hearing a ringing in the head, it's annoying, and then their speech can be affected by that to the point that they cannot speak anymore. And I think they're doing that with scalar weapons, that might not be caused by the... Well, perhaps it gives me that idea every time, but then I conclude, well, these antennas are obviously there. I'm triangulated, 3 of them beaming through our bodies from all sides. So I'd have to put aluminum foil all over the walls to shield myself. That wouldn't be very expensive. For $10 you can buy 30 meters of aluminum foil for €1.50 in the Netherlands at Albert Heijn, for example. There may be cheaper options also. And then people can measure and see that it shields better than shielding paint, which is more expensive. But okay, it's best to ground it, and with a measuring instrument you can prove to yourselves beyond any reasonable doubt that it does shield. And some people are lying to reduce the global population. Even scientists and others, very wealthy people, are behind it. But I was gonna watch this video. So basically, eigenlijk heb ik mijn video al beëindigd over het onderwerp, de titel van de video. Misschien is het interessant om eerst dingen te lezen op Antennebureau.nl. Ik heb het idee dat niemand dat leest. Ik heb het zelf ook nog niet helemaal gelezen. En ook die test kunnen we een deel van lezen. Maar het is dus duidelijk dat die frequenties worden gebruikt. 2590 tot 2620 zijn gebruikt voor de 5G-test. En dat het de interface technologie gebruikte van LTE 4G. So first I will cover the Antennebureau.nl document and then the video that Tony has sent the link of. And well, if there are other chatters, then I can make you a moderator so you can send links. But please no censorship. Leave every message, also if it's critique or so-called trolling. I wanna be able to read public opinion. Okay, so I think it's best not to watch live streams of people that don't have a chat and people that turn off the chat afterwards, etc. They want to hide public opinion for some reason. But perhaps they do that when they think YouTube might not agree with what some people wrote in the chat as well. So it's not that important, it's just a chat. 5G LTE. 5G LTE Kanker antennes in Mijdrecht. Okay, yeah. So then I'll switch back to English after this Dutch stuff coming up.
en antennes. Vanaf 2020 wordt de vijfde generatie mobiele communicatie verwacht. Op dit moment wordt 5G getest op verschillende plekken in Nederland. 5G gaat gebruik maken van nieuwe en bestaande zendmasten. Naar verwachting komen er ook kleine antennes bij. Technische standaard voor 5G. De technische standaard voor 5G mobiele communicatie is nog in ontwikkeling. De verwachting is dat deze in 2020 is afgerond. Bedrijven die nieuwe apparatuur installeren houden er rekening mee dat deze ook met de 5G-standaard kunnen werken. Frequenties voor 5G. Hoewel 5G een zendtechniek is die ook op de bestaande frequentiebanden van 2G, 3G en 4G gebruikt kan worden, heeft de Europese Unie 3 specifieke frequentiebanden nagewezen voor 5G, de 700 MHz, 3,5 GHz en 26 GHz. De consultatie voor het veilen van de frequenties is 5 december 2019 gestart en duurt 6 weken. Het gaat om de frequentiebanden 700 MHz, 1400 MHz en 2100 MHz. Nederland wil daarna volgens afspraken binnen de Europese Unie voor 30 juni 2020 daadwerkelijk veilen. Begin 2022 volgt de veiling van de 3,5 GHz-band. De overheid zet in op minimaal 3 deelnemers aan beide veilingen. In de veiling is een dekkingsverplichting opgenomen. Gemeentelijk antennebeleid. Gemeenten hebben via de Vereniging Nederlandse Gemeenten, VNG, invloed op de plaatsing van vergunningsvrije antennes door het antenne-convenant. Voor antennes hoger dan 5 meter is toestemming van de gemeente nodig via een omgevingsvergunning. Een gemeente heeft geen...
So another question is also which frequency bands of 5G are most damaging to the human body, the DNA, chromosomes, T-lymphocytes, etc. There may be some differences, but in general they're all damaging, is what I think, but perhaps people have some more information. Please send links in the chat.
Invloed op het gebruik van een bepaalde...
So it's proven that they're all damaging. All cancer cell phone radiation, all microwave radiation is damaging to humans. And that's shown in thousands of peer-reviewed tests, independent tests not paid by some cancer cell phone company that wants to push it, but independent real scientists, professors and doctors. And these are often reproducible tests, so that means that it's proven beyond any reasonable doubt, and you could do that test at any time and it will show the same results.
Frequentie. Het aan- of uitzetten van het 5G nieuw radiozendprotocol, 5GNR, of het gebruik van een bepaalde antennetechniek. Frequenties voor mobiele communicatie worden namelijk techniekneutraal geveild en vergund door Agentschap Telecom. Een operator kan in theorie nu al 5GNR aanbieden. Er zijn alleen nog nauwelijks mobiele telefoons die hiervan gebruik kunnen maken. 5G en gezondheid. Alle 5G-antennes moeten, net als 2G, 3G en 4G-antennes, voldoen aan de internationale blootstellingslimieten voor elektromagnetische straling. De totale optelsom van alle elektromagnetische straling mag nooit boven deze limieten uitkomen. In het kennisbericht 5G en mobiele communicatie beantwoordt het kennisplatform elektromagnetische velden de meest gestelde vragen over 5G, straling en gezondheid. Op 5 november 2019 heeft de Tweede Kamer de Gezondheidsraad verzocht om op basis van de meest actuele wetenschappelijke inzichten uiterlijk in het tweede kwartaal van 2020 een advies uit te brengen over mogelijke gezondheidsrisico's in relatie tot 5G. Metingen 5G-antennes op diverse plaatsen in Nederland, bijvoorbeeld bij 5 Groningen, wordt getest met de mogelijkheden van 5G. Agentschap Telecom heeft op verschillende testlocaties veldsterktemetingen uitgevoerd om inzicht te krijgen in de elektromagnetische straling van 5G-antennes. De resultaten van de 5G-metingen staan op de pagina Resultaten metingen straling antennes, 5G-antennes en zendmasten in het antenneregister. In het antenneregister staat per antenneinstallatie de frequenties die in gebruik zijn. Dit geldt ook voor de locaties waar getest wordt met een 5G-frequentie. Experimenteer locaties 5G in het Nationaal Frequentieplan, NFP, staat per frequentieband voor welk soort gebruik en frequentie bestemd is. Voor ander gebruik van frequentieruimte dan in het Nationaal Frequentieplan, NFP, staat kan bij Agentschap Telecom een Experimenteer Vergunning.
Ja, dan is de vraag dus, blijkt dat wel uit die frequenties dat dat 5G-antennes zijn, bijvoorbeeld bij die LTE-antennes, 2,6 gigahertz. Kan dat niets anders zijn dan 5G? Moet ik even kijken hoor. Wat is de hoogste frequentie? 2,660. They hurt my chest. So they're using pulsed energy projectile, and that can also be used to murder people, though they call it non-invasive. The wiki article makes clear they can also use it to kill people. So yeah, that's happening on a global scale. Millions of people are uploading the targeted individual videos to YouTube daily. So that's all 4G. Not interested in that. Because 4 and 5G can be overlapping as well, I think. So where do I find the information? So they may pretend it's better not to know and that resistance is futile and stuff, but of course we know about their plans for everyone, and knowledge is power. You can't fool all the people all the time, blah blah. Okay, so then it's best to go to Wiki, I think, to see the frequency bands, to see if that frequency is also among the 5G NR frequency bands. So we're looking at 2660. That's not even listed, I think. Okay, 2620 to 2690 for downlink. And then that's also a question for the list that we have here, basically, that we've seen. Is this the uplink or the downlink frequency? It's not exactly 26 gigahertz, is it? So what are the exact frequencies? Because they need an uplink frequency and a downlink frequency, and they cannot be the same. But anyway, they list 2.6 on the map here. 2.66 gigahertz. So then the question is that uplink or downlink? But it means that it can also indeed be a 5G frequency, and that they tested with these LTE antennas and also used 4G. What was it? 4G interface technology, LTE, for the 5G tests in the 2590 to 2620 megahertz range. Means that they're likely LTE 5G antennas. And whether it's 2, 3 or 4G doesn't matter, they're cancer cell phone antennas. And I don't want to be chemoed again, so I'm doing all kinds of things, following an anti-cancer diet, and a number of other things. And now they're trying to give me a heart attack with their radiation. So if I die, they do it with 5G antennas as well. It's just another directed energy weapon, clear from the fact that it's also used for crowd control. These boxes look a little bit different, but it is still 5G. And that was also covered in the Dutch parliament, so people can Google that as well. But they want to keep things secret, so that's why it's also presented in a certain manner. And we cannot find a map of 5G locations all over the world where all these 5G antennas are located. So there may be a lot more of them than people think, and also Project Starling, the satellites of Elon Musk, 5G cancer cell phone satellites, cancer cell phone radiation satellites, are also flying over our heads already. So they already have like 1500 or 350, I think, 350, and they want 1582 or something, according to Wiki. 1584 satellites into 72 orbital planes of 22 satellites each. Starling initial phase. Okay, so then we can watch the video, I guess. So I cannot guarantee that they are or are not 5G antennas at the moment, but that it's likely that they're 5G antennas, no pristine white 5G cancer cell phone antennas, 5 cancer G, 500 million 5G. Wow. Okay. What is 5G and what isn't? Okay, yeah, I can watch that, that's the question. Well, basically, it's 5G if it's LTE. Might not be true, so they might also make 3 and 4G. Let's see, LTE, 3G, 4G. And LTE bring to the original 3G technologies. LTE telecommunication, Wikipedia. LTE has been marketed both as quote 4G LTE and as quote advanced 4G unquote. Long-term evolution is a standard for wireless broadband communication for mobile devices and data terminals based on the GSM Edge and to take Cancer GSM Edge and Cancer UMTS HSPA technologies. It increases the capacity and speed using a different radio interface together with core network improvements. The standard is developed by the 3GPP Third Generation Partnership Project and is specified in its Release 8 document series with minor enhancements described in Release 9. LTE is the upgrade path for carriers with both Cancer GSM, Cancer UMTS networks and CDMA 2000 networks. Cancer DMA 2000, no, CDMA, okay. The different LTE frequencies and bands used in different countries mean that only multi-band phones are able to use LTE in all countries where it is supported. So it's based on Cancer GSM and Cancer UMTS, but it's not the same. Okay, then we can read part of the wiki/5G article.
Loopband 5G uses a similar frequency range as current 4G cell phones, 600, 700.
Low-band 5G uses a similar frequency range as current 4G cell phones, 600 to 700 MHz, giving download speeds a little higher than 4G, 3250 megabits per second, Mbps. 3. Low-band cell towers will have a similar range and coverage area to current 4G towers. Mid-band 5G uses microwaves of 2.5 to 3.7 GHz, currently allowing speeds of 100-900 Mbps, with each cell tower providing service up to several miles radius. This level of service is the most widely deployed, and should be available in most metropolitan areas in 2020. Some countries are not implementing low band, making this the minimum service level. High-band 5G uses frequencies of 25 to 39 GHz, near the bottom of the millimeter wave band, to achieve download speeds of 1 to 3 gigabits per second, Gbps, comparable to cable internet. However, millimeter waves, wave or mmW, only have a range of about 1 mile, 1.6 kilometers, requiring many small cells, and have trouble passing through some types of building walls. Due to their higher costs, current plans are to deploy these cells only in dense urban environments, and areas where crowds of people congregate, such as sports stadiums and convention centers. The above speeds are those achieved in actual tests in 2020. Speeds are expected to increase during rollout. 3. The industry consortium setting standards for 5G is the Third Generation Partnership Project, 3GPP. 1. It defines any system using 5G NR, 5G new radio, software as 5G, a definition that came into general use by late 2018. Minimum standards are set by the International Telecommunications Union, E2. Previously, some reserved the term 5G for systems that deliver download speeds of 20 Gbps as specified in the E2's IMT 2020 document.
So they write that the high-band 5G uses frequencies of 25 to 39 GHz to achieve download speeds of 1 to 3 gigabits per second, 1 to 3 gigabits per second, comparable to cable internet. But then when we read about cable internet, with fiber optic cable, speeds up to 100 gigabits per second are possible with fiber optic through routers for that speed, Quora.com. Does 5G provide faster internet service than fiber optic cable? So the answer is no. That's still about 33 times faster than the fastest 5G according to the wiki articles, basically in the Quora.com article. So fiber optic is 100 gigabits per second. Fiber optic is 100 gigabits per second, and high-band 5G 1 to 3 gigabits per second. Here you can see it in the wiki article. I'm not making stuff up. 1 to 3 gigabits per second. Comparable to cable internet. Well, then they don't mean fiber optic cable, perhaps. But I doubt that. I think that it's just not correct, you could argue. When the fiber optic cable internet is 33 times faster. Well, you can still compare it, even if it's an apple and an egg or whatever. And I don't see any reason not to, because everything is energy. Still ticking my heart area, and it might be the thing that I had in my leg, and it spread to my, I don't know if it's my kidney, lower back basically. But I think I may be generating antibodies, or they do it with scalar, or it's caused by the 5G frequency. Perhaps one of the frequencies is one that I'm extra sensitive to. Or perhaps it was selected, or perhaps, well, it is clear it uses advanced beamforming technology. So with that scalar technology they can also aim these 5G antennas. I've explained that it can control the ones and zeros, and that these things usually have digital devices to steer things. So that means they can take over their antenna and do other things with it without their knowledge or consent. Like these planes, these fly-by-wire planes that can be remotely controlled. with this technology. So then the pilot cannot control the plane anymore because it has taken over their flight computer. Wiki has a pretty good article about fly-by-wire planes. So they're totally controlled electronically, the hydraulics are controlled electronically. And then if you have wireless energy, like Tesla's radiant energy, scalar waves and an advanced neural network, then that can control your computer and you cannot control it yourself anymore. So it's capable of switching equipment on and off remotely, so that means also the ones and zeros on a hard disk. Everything is energy, so it can control the energy flow through the computer, etc. and generate its own energy, ones and zeros. And this is theory, of course, nobody can prove or disprove it to me, because they can remotely torture and kill people with this technology. So our lives might depend on someone that can prove electronarcosis, prove whether somebody has been killed with the scalar technology or microwaves. Both, basically. I've seen that Tony wrote some other links, so perhaps I can open these. Tony writes 5 Industrieweg maps. Google, bro, this is the big one at the start of the street. And another YouTube video. Oh, from a good location. Well, it does look pretty big. Okay, thanks, Tony. Good to know. And this is smart cities coming to your area. Satellite emoji, you reap what you sow. Well, not if 5G is on, of course. So that's also the way they're gonna generate the food shortage. Starvation, Kissinger's favorite population control method. And Kissinger has close connections with Trump, and Fauci has close connections with Bill and Melinda Gates. Erythrocyte aggregation is the reversible clumping of red blood cells, RBCs, under low shear forces or at stasis. Immunity to 5G is an impossibility people can shield, so you can't get there just with the minerals and antioxidants and the food supplements. Though that helps to recover, it doesn't protect you and it doesn't protect your DNA and your cells and your vital organs in your brain against the radiation permeating it continuously, chronically. It doesn't protect you. Only aluminum foil, only shielding is real protection. Harmonizing the field doesn't protect you either. You still have a reception with your cancer cell phone. So that means there are still enough damaging qualities to that artificial radiation. And it still damages your DNA, sperm, chromosomes, and increases your cancer risk. And also affects your blood. And it's shown in thousands of reproducible studies and tests, of which people in the mainstream media, usually paid by these cancer cell phone companies, deny the existence and or claim that these tests have shown the opposite, that it's harmless. So they simply lie. And there is no law against that, is there? And they lie on the news. Or can people press charges, say, hey, I have all these scientific studies. Can anybody help me to press charges? Any lawyers? How are we gonna prevent the rollout, or rather start the roll up of 5G and replace that with the healing frequencies and scalar technology, the radiant energy of Nikola Tesla? And the question to scientists is also, would that really be better? Is it possible to do this, to use healing frequencies of Dr. Rife, for example? And what is known about these frequencies? It's known that everything has its own natural frequency, and probably the agencies are using this to benefit themselves and perhaps even to exterminate 7 billion of us. Selectively, so only true slaves can stay alive. So I think they know this and they keep it secret. They want everybody to die. They want to reduce the global population. Not to protect and serve the taxpayers, which is the job of our government, that these secret societies have infiltrated. So they should be arrested, and all people that incite to commit genocide should be arrested. And at least investigated, like Bill and Melinda Gates. Dr. Fauci is on the Leadership Council for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Director NIAID. Vaccination must always remain voluntary. Statistical herd immunity. It's enough that 60 or 70% get the vaccine. No need to impose it on 100% of the population. So perhaps it's best if I leave in the errors that the synthetic telepathy machine lets me make, so you get a feel for what they want us to say, basically. What they want to F up, to give the illusion that we're mentally ill instead of the people that advocate this population reduction to 500 million. So it's enough that 60% or 70% get the vaccine. No need to impose it on 100% of the population because of statistical herd immunity. But I gave 10 other reasons why vaccination must always remain voluntary and why there are no good reasons to make it mandatory, except to reduce the global population to 500 million, obviously. The people above all, we are the people. Oh yeah, I just wanted to look that up, so I did that now. So then we can go back to the video and the Google Maps live view, or what do they call it? So that's this one probably. But it doesn't use the 2.66 gigahertz radiation, it uses the 1.815 gigahertz and 816 megahertz. Oh, this one uses 2.675 gigahertz. So that's one of these antennas we see here. And perhaps it's these thinner ones that we also see on here. Okay. So the problem is when we've moved, then they'll place these other little antennas everywhere, and they will have the satellites to irradiate us wherever we go when we go outside. That will be there as well. On top of the 4G that they might phase out somewhere in 2022 or whatever. Smart cities coming to your area, you reap what you sow, and the other video. I think I've covered the Dutch stuff enough now, but we were still reading this or not? Did we read the whole thing? Was there another document, tests that they did? We can read this thing. Let's first do this. Alright, we can meditate on it while we hear the ringing in our heads.
Meetresultaten meetonderzoek 1. Groningen op 21 juni 2018 en 1 april 2019 is gemeten aan de massieve MIMO-antenne met bruimvorming in het 5G-lab van VI Groningen. Technische parameters antenne. De massieve MIMO-antenne bestaat uit 8x8 is gelijk 64 antennes die 16 bundels kan produceren. Dit houdt in dat een stukje frequentieruimte, van in dit geval 20 MHz, 16 keer ingezet kan worden. Tijdens gebruik betekent dit dat de gebruiker een eigen bundel, traffic channel, krijgt. De bundel voorziet de gebruiker van verbinding in de periode dat hij behoefte heeft aan hoge datasnelheid. De antenne in Groningen is een statische MIMO-antenne. Het gebundelde signaal zendt in een vaste richting. De antenne in het 5G-lab in Groningen is afgesteld op een specifieke frequentie, namelijk 2605 MHz. Er is geen enkel ander signaal in de directe omgeving op deze frequentie te vinden. Deze frequentie bevindt zich in de TTD-band. Het 5G-lab gebruikt in deze testopstelling frequentiespectrum van 2590 tot 2620 MHz. De gebruikte interface-technologie was ZLTE, 4G. De meting heeft op 53 meter van de MIMO-antenne plaatsgevonden. De antenne stond op 19 meter hoogte. De downtilt bedroeg 15 graden. Dit houdt in dat de antenne met 15 graden naar beneden zendt, waardoor de meting in de bundel van de antenne plaatsvond. De meting vond plaats in de line-of-sight van de antenne. Gebruikte meetapparatuur. Een selectieve veldsterktemeting is uitgevoerd met de Narda SRM 3006 veldsterktemeter. Resultaatmeting. De gemeten veldsterkte afkomstig van de MIMO-antenne was 3 volt per meter. Deze veldsterkte komt overeen met de berekende veldsterkte uitgaande van de meetafstand en de technische parameters.
So I'm trying to look up how many microwatt per square meter 1 or 3 volt per meter is basically. So 0.1 microwatt, oh, that should be per square meter. Perhaps we can calculate it. Hmm. Okay. So I already did this, like so. It's not clear to me, so I cannot even do that at the moment. But it is clear you can convert volt per meter to milliwatt per square centimeter and also to microwatt per square centimeter or meter squared. And I want to know, because that's the amount I can read on my HF35C HF radiation meter, basically. Microwatt per square meter. And that value should be below 0.1 microwatt per square meter. At the moment it's up to 0.7, between 0.3 and 0.2 and 0.7. Even 0.8. So it's that frequency you can hear faintly in the background. So many people would say that's very good and it can't cause any problems, etc. But it can, because we're chronically exposed to it. And I can go downstairs where it's 0.0, 0.1, but then I still have the ringing in the head. So it's even a small amount can do it if it's the right frequency in theory. Or they do it with scalar waves and they want me to have the illusion that it's caused by these Kanker cell phone antennas. But that doesn't make sense. So it's clearly a very high frequency. Conversion chart, perhaps. Standard baby monitor 3 volt per meter. $24,100 microwatt per square meter. Wow. Okay, then I'll save this one. Well, I didn't even expect that it would be that high. I thought it would be a lot, but not that much. Incredible. SwiftRunnerMinistries.com. Thanks for putting that online. Important information for us all. So theoretically they're doing it with scalar waves, not with microwaves. So I have reasons to assume that that's the case, and also reasons to assume that it is the LTE 5G Kanker cell phone antenna causing the ringing in the head. But at the moment it's almost not audible. But it's still there despite the shielding, also with the shielding hoodie. And they've done this to me for decades with the Kanker cell phone radiation. I doubt it. I think they only use scalar weapons to do the remote torture and the synthetic telepathy. Because I've also shielded with mu metal, and it doesn't stop when people go into a parking garage underground. And not even when people fly in a plane, then the dental torture attacks continue. So there is no way to protect yourself against these scalar waves. Only a Tesla plasma shield can do that. And microwaves are easy to shield with aluminum foil. So I think that this is it's not clear to me, but it's clear there's some cause. So it's a very useful overview. So a laptop computer produces about 1.5 volts per meter. That's 6060 microwatts per square meter. And it can cause cardiac arrhythmias and arrest in frogs. DNA fragmentation occurs at 1.69 volts per meter, 1.7 basically, and so that's 0.000763 microwatt per square meter. Oh, milliwatt. No, as you look at microwatt. So what's 0.1 microwatt? That's not even listed. It begins at 0.0602 volts per meter. And that leads to decreased cell proliferation. Wireless computer mouse leukemia in children, 0.953 volt per meter. So all of that helps with the population reduction and sustainability. So it's sustainable development, or arrested development, you could argue. And people can always Skype me, Prologic 999, if they want to Skype. Conversion formulas are also on there. Great work, thanks for uploading this. Also on BiblePicturePathways.com. I ate chocolate, so then I have that. So cancer deck DECT is also horrible. It really is, and 1 in 2 people get cancer, so that's why it's horrible. And also they try to cover it up and pretend that bread or other things that are even healthy are harmful and that they're causing it. Anything but what is really causing it, to misdirect the people to reduce the global population. What's your problem? Drive-through hospital complex DNA fragmentation. It says it here, drive-through hospital complex. 1.696 volts per meter. Airport terminal. So that's not the same as the cancer airport scanner. at 0.4 to 6 volt per meter. Damaged sperm. Oh, that sounds reasonable. Walmart parking lot 0.214 volt per meter. Headache, sleep problems, increased stress hormones and adrenaline. Cardiovascular problems already at 0.19 volts per meter at Costco parking lot. And they pretend that 3 volts per meter is safe, that's their safety standard, and that's 24,100 microwatt per square meter, according to this document. And here you see the conversion formulas. And that should be kept below 0.1 microwatt per square meter. Okay, according to building biologists. And it's too low to be listed on this chart. So again, they have these insane unsafety standards to reduce the global population. And Agenda 21 ties of the UN, WHO, and perhaps also IGNURB are clear or not. I don't know who controls these people, you know. But my theory about it is, or basically you could claim it's a fact that we're in a non-fictional cyberocracy because we've had synthetic telepathy since 1974. Clearly described in the Mijdrecht patent, the apparatus to remotely monitor and alter brainwaves, and that patent is only provided if it is a working device. So we can first watch this one. Let's see, latest video. Social media, fracking mankind, COVID-19, nature's revenge, culling, eugenics, self-regulation, and homosexuality. 10k views one day ago. Definitely gonna watch that. Great videos, thanks for uploading. Sam Vagnin's channel. What is 5G and what isn't? Okay, if it's a PhD then perhaps it's interesting. So I'm reviewing this video on Dr. Deborah Green's channel.
Everyone, thanks for tuning in. I decided to make a little video about what is 5G and what isn't because I've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails and activity on our Facebook page, people saying, you know, is this a 5G antenna? Is this a 5G tower? 5G is showing up on my phone. What does that mean? Do I have 5G? So I decided to answer those questions in this little video. So what is 5G and what isn't it? We'll start with the basics here. 5G stands for fifth generation wireless infrastructure, and it's not to be confused with what does sometimes show up on your cell phone if it's searching for a Wi-Fi connection, or might also show up on your cable box or your laptop.
So one thing that occurred to me when I stand up is that this video is not about shielding yourselves. The harmful effects, and especially shielding yourself, is not covered by almost nobody says shield, and perhaps that is also because they want to be able to go outside and not be irradiated to death, basically. But that's an important point. Almost no one is making videos about shielding, so we could use more of those. Or perhaps they're blocked by the algorithm or something. But people that talk negatively of 5G almost never talk about shielding.
that refers to 5 gigahertz. And Wi-Fi used to transmit at 2.4 gigahertz, but recently they also introduced 5 gigahertz frequency. And when people see that 5G showing up on their cell phone, cable box, or computer, they think, oh my God, I have 5G. But that's different. That's not what we're talking about. That's not the big bad 5G. 5G is 5th generation wireless technology. So back when cell phones were first made commercially available, they operated on 1G, or the first generation. And you could basically make a phone call, and that was about it. And then 2G came along, and I think at this point, you were able to get like nationwide free long distance or something like that. And then 3G allowed even more functionality. You could, check email on your phone, you could surf the web, and then with 4G LTE, which is what most of us have right now, you could actually watch entire movies on your phone. So every time there's a new generation of wireless infrastructure that your phone utilizes, there's an increase in functionality. And we're told that 5G is going to give us faster downloads. But it's important to understand that 5G is not really about faster downloads. 5G is categorically different than anything that has ever existed in the history of the planet. 5G should really be called AI IoT, which stands for Artificial Intelligence and the Internet of Things, because 5G is really about robotics and driverless cars and augmented reality and the Internet of Everything.
Crowd control.
The idea is that everything that you come in contact with, or that comes in contact with you, will be chipped and antenned and transmitting and emitting and collecting data at every step of the way. And these products that are all pictured and listed here, these already exist, by the way. Smart diapers, smart pacifiers, smart mattresses, toothbrushes, smart pills that can track whether you've taken the medication or not, and potentially can report that to your doctor or your insurance company. And the smart pill can also track what's going on inside your body as it is ingested. Smart condoms that are designed to measure your thrust and semen output, and the ever-popular womb pod that is designed to be inserted inside a pregnant mother's womb and play music to the developing fetus. Of course, irradiating the entire womb and fetus at the same time with wireless radiation and tracking everything. So lots of data collection, lots of radiation with the smart home, and everything happens through the phone. So if you want to know if your baby's diaper needs to be changed, you don't interact with your baby. No, you don't pick up your baby and hold your baby and check the diaper. You just look at your phone. You just check your phone. Your phone will tell you everything that you need to know. It's all about the phone. And all of these devices and appliances inside your home and inside your body, they're all connected through your phone and connected with each other, and the smart home then
Well, such a diaper may also be more expensive, and we can question whether it will still be possible for the low and the middle to survive when all the prices go up because of this, also because of the crisis, etc.
becomes part of a smart city with lots of smart buildings and smart offices with all of their equipment and devices all interconnected and communicating with each other. And the smart cities have smart cars driving all over, and all the smart cities are part of smart states, and smart states are part of smart countries that connect with other smart countries and smart cities until the entire planet just becomes this one interconnected smart web of radiation and data collection and
A melting blob.
surveillance. That is 5G. It's also important to know that 5G adds on to and does not replace existing infrastructure. In other words, all of the cell towers and antennas that we currently have will not go away. They'll simply be added onto. And 5G is utilizing millimeter wave frequencies in addition to others. And the millimeter wave frequencies are a higher frequency, and they're actually quite fragile. Millimeter wave frequencies are easily distorted. They don't penetrate well through walls and buildings, and they get absorbed by moisture in the air, and especially have a hard time transmitting through trees with leaves on them. So because of that, when millimeter wave frequencies are used, there has to be many, many, many more antennas. And we're talking about antennas installed every 2 to 5 homes in residential areas. We're talking about millions of new antennas, and they can be as close as 15 feet to your home. 5G also involves 120,000 new satellites in low to mid-orbit, and that's just in the US, by the way. I'll talk more about the satellites in a moment. 5G also involves new ground antennas, and the FCC just approved Elon Musk's SpaceX program for 1 million new 5G ground antennas. 5G also includes base stations and devices that contain multiple antennas in phased arrays. And these emit steerable laser-like beams that track each other, which means that each 5G phone turns into like a miniature cell tower that you hold in your hand or put on your body or hold next to your brain. I hope not. Each 5G-enabled phone contains dozens of tiny antennas that track and aim a narrowly focused beam to search and connect to the nearest antenna. And that might be in another cell phone, it might be in a device or an...
So we read that 4G isn't going away anytime soon, so that means that both networks are irradiating through your bodies. And almost everybody is triangulated between these cancer cell phone antennas that are irradiating whole cities. And yes, it can also lead to obesity, as I've shown in the studies overview. And I think the people of planet Earth are waking up, and that's a good thing.
Nearby appliance, or it might be a 5G small cell. The FCC has approved 5G to operate at 20 watts, which is 10 times more powerful than what we currently have. So we're talking about radiation 10 to hundreds of times greater than with 4G. So what's happening in Hawaii with regard to 5G? Well, in order to understand that, we need to understand that 5G is a marketing term. And as a marketing term, it can mean just about whatever big telecom wants it to mean. And they're actually fighting with each other about what 5G actually is. One company says, oh, we have the best and biggest 5G, and then another company says, no, you don't. You're using fake 5G. We have real 5G. And so it goes. There's a lot of infighting going on among the telecom companies about what 5G is. What we need to know is that 5G includes 3 different frequency bands, and it also includes 4G. So the bottom line is 5G is a frequency hog. It takes up a huge amount of the allowable spectrum. At the high end of the frequency band, millimeter waves are used, and these are 20 gigahertz and above. So 20 gigahertz, 30 gigahertz, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and on it goes. The millimeter waves usually use small cell antennas, which are sometimes called 5G small cells. And these are used in densely populated areas like football stadiums or rock concert arenas.
Small cancer cell antennas.
Or big cities where there's a lot of people in a dense urban area. This is a picture of 5G small cell infrastructure. This is from Honolulu on the island of Oahu. And as you can see, these 5G small cells are mounted there on a light pole. And this is from Honolulu on the island of Oahu. And as you can see, these 5G small cells are mounted there on a light pole. And most of the time, 5G small cells are mounted on public infrastructure like light poles, telephone poles, electrical poles, utility poles. That's because they have to be very close to the island of Oahu area. This is a picture of 5G small cell infrastructure. This is from Honolulu on the island of Oahu.
How
And
dare
as you can
you!
see, these 5G small cells are mounted there on a light pole. And most of the time, 5G small cells are mounted on public infrastructure like light poles, telephone poles, electrical poles, utility poles. That's because they have to be very close together. These are millimeter wave. And because they have to be close together, Big Telecom doesn't want to have to build all of these.
Well, what I'm just thinking at this point is, I like the way the palm tree looks. I don't like the thing next to the palm tree.
Poles and things to stick this on. So they've made arrangements to use already existing public infrastructure like light poles, telephone poles, utility poles, and so forth. This is a map of the island of Oahu showing Sprint 5G small cells. And this map is not current because we know that on Oahu, they also have AT&T 5G small cells. And I think they might also have Verizon as well. But it gives you an idea of where some of the infrastructure is located. Then we have the mid-frequency band, which is used by 4G and 5G, and these are microwave frequencies between 1 and 6 gigahertz. And these are the towers and the big, flat panel antennas that you see all over the place. They're in cities, they're in the suburbs, they're in rural areas because these waves travel farther. And then there's the low frequency band that's also used by 4G and 5G. And this is the ultra high frequency band of 300 megahertz to 1 gigahertz. And again, these are the towers and the big antennas that you see all over the place in cities, suburbs, out in the country, and so forth. So this is a picture of the Pu'unene smokestack at the old sugar mill on the island of Maui. And these are most likely 4G flat panels.
FFF. Great video, thanks for uploading.
This is a picture of a small tower that is in Makawao, on church property apparently. And this is in somebody's backyard who lives very nearby that. And this is a new tower that just went up during lockdown from the coronavirus lockdown. And as you can see, if you look up at the top there, that little tuft-looking thing, that's because this tower was eventually made to look like a fake Norfolk pine tree. And this is most likely a 4G and 5G infrastructure. This, sadly, is a picture of a school on Oahu in Honolulu, and it's very sad because you have to think about these kids who have to sit in these classrooms every single day during school for hours and hours and be exposed to the kind of radiation.
So then these little effing cancer cell phone antennas on every street corner may be made to look like little cancer cell phone bonsais.
That is coming off of, those kinds of towers. Not good. I'm showing this picture of this Ookla speed test because this has been flying around a lot on social media. And it says that it shows 5G deployments all over the world. And if you click down onto the Hawaiian Islands, you see that
I think it doesn't show all the places where they've rolled out 5G technology. It might only show the Ookla, Antennes, or whatever, T-Mobile, and there are 3 other cancer cell phone companies rolling that out, cancer cell phone providers.
that it shows that we have 5G just about everywhere, and a lot of it. Well, there's reason to believe that this is not accurate. One, if you look at all of these installations, they only show T-Mobile. And we know, for example, that Sprint is on Oahu, and also AT&T has 5G small cells on Oahu, and those are not part of this map. So the map is not accurate. And because it shows only T-Mobile, we kind of thought maybe, Ookla was owned by T-Mobile or something. I don't think they are. We did look into that a little bit. But the thing about T-Mobile is that they don't use millimeter wave frequencies. T-Mobile uses a lower part of the spectrum, 600 megahertz, for their 5G. And this is one of the companies that is being accused in the tech media of having fake 5G because they're not using millimeter waves. But nonetheless, they advertise that this is 5G, and apparently 5G-enabled cell phones do work with this lower frequency of the 600 megahertz. So the bottom line is that newer towers that have been erected recently are beefed up 4G that's convertible to 5G with a software update. And the other thing that's happening is that those beefed up 4G signals are more heavily modulated than before, and so people can feel it. So when a new antenna or tower goes up, people can feel it because of this modulation, and they think, oh my God, it's 5G and I'm getting zapped. Well, you are getting zapped, but it may be 5G, it may not. It may just be a beefed up 4G tower or antenna. But it really doesn't matter whether it's 4G, 3G, 6G, 5G. The bottom line is wireless radiation is harmful. So don't get too concerned about, is it 5G or 4G or whatever. Wireless radiation is harmful, period. This is a picture of the island of Oahu. This is taken as a screenshot from a website that shows satellite paths. And this is showing us that there is an Elon Musk 5G dedicated satellite orbiting over the Hawaiian Islands. So let's talk a little bit about those satellites. Right now, Elon Musk's SpaceX company has 420 5G satellites orbiting planet Earth. And that number was just achieved a few days ago. Today is April 27th, and it was really a matter of a few days ago when SpaceX did their recent launch and brought their number of 5G satellites up to 420. Last fall, they said that when
Oklahoma. So what I thought up was that she is right about the harmfulness of this microwave cancer cell phone radiation. And it doesn't mean that we have to do irrational things. It means we can shield because it's shieldable, unlike the cancer scalar attacks. There's nothing that can shield people except for Tesla plasma shield, which I know because they've tortured my teeth out of my mouth and the beam was partially deflected by a grounded Van de Graaff generator. Because where these scalar beams convene, where they cross, there an electromagnetic field is produced with the characteristics programmed into the neural network. And it was at that time pulsed energy projectile, but it can also do the active denial system beam 95 gigahertz. I haven't found the frequency of BEP yet, but it might be somewhere online as well. But what would you do with it? It's no use to know, you could argue. But some people, some technicians might be able to build something that can block it, basically. And you can see videos online on YouTube of how to build your own mini Tesla plasma shield. So she's right about it. It's very harmful. Some people might deny it because they don't know any better, or because they're in on reducing global population, or they're making money of cancer cell phone antennas and providing network access, etc. However, it's a reproducible test you can do at home, the lumping red blood cell test. And it works with 5G cancer cell phones and also other devices that emit the cancer cell phone radiation in sufficient amounts like cancer cell phones do. So that includes wireless cancer routers, little smart watches that might not even have airplane modes, and then I don't use them. And it's best to throw them away so nobody else irradiates themselves, because the number of devices is also piling up, besides the number of cancer cell phone antennas that are on, whether we have devices or not. And devices has vice in it, basically. Device is devices. So switch it off, keep it in airplane mode, and just shield yourself. And soon we won't be able to move to a place where we're not in the cancer cell phone radiation anymore. So my point is also put aluminum foil on the shielding. I basically made one hanging piece of foil and another one that's above it. So you could call it phallic art or whatever. But okay, it's I should probably put a second layer of foil more over here. So the problem with the satellites is they might not beam in a straight way down. They might beam straight down, but in an angle, so then it can come from the ceiling, from over there, from outside the window. It can come from above, not just from the sides. And so people need a cancer cell phone measuring instrument, the HF radiation meter. And there are several cheap ones also for $25, but I don't know. They don't measure in microwatt per square meter, and I've ordered one, and it might take another couple of weeks before that arrives. And also an aluminum head. Aluminum is light, and it has cage inside basically, so that the aluminum is not in contact with your head, so that your head doesn't become an antenna. So that also shields, and people can measure with a measuring instrument how well it shields. I use this HF35C of gigahertz solutions, and many people do. You also have the Aronia. I have that measuring instrument somewhere. If it wasn't sold with my other stuff, or moved basically. You could argue it was stolen. It's a long story. So this one you can measure in microwatt per square meter, and when you buy one you have to look at if it can measure in microwatt per square meter, to keep it below 0.1 microwatt per square meter, and the spectrum that it can measure in. This is from 800 megahertz to 2500 megahertz, equals 2.5 gigahertz. The HF35C gigahertz solutions. And that makes it demodulates the microwave signal, so you can hear the sound it makes, and then you can, with recordings online, you can determine what type of device is transmitting that. But of course it's better to have that Aronia, you could argue, that shows what type of frequency and how much. So you have a measuring instrument with bars, and that's pretty good, and also pretty cheap. But I measured with this instrument that the Aronia was transmitting cancer cell phone radiation itself, so that's also pretty weird. Okay. And you can also connect that one to the PC, and then you can see a chart on the screen of all the radiation in your environment and the types of networks. whether it's GSM, UMTS, or something else. So I wonder where I put that one. I still have the other one. It was a set with 2 measuring instruments and blue antenna that is sort of triangle shaped. And the other measuring instrument is in the box it came in a nice flight case, blue flight case, and but the battery might not be okay anymore, so then I just have to order another battery, but then I first have to find the device. And if I don't have it, then there's no use for the battery either. I don't need to measure lower frequency radiation, the high frequency radiation. So then we're talking, best would be 0 to 100 gigahertz if you want to measure the whole 5G spectrum. So you have frequency range 1 and frequency range 2, and together that's 100 gigahertz, up to 100 gigahertz. So that includes the 95 gigahertz ADS. And I've shown that picture earlier, and that might be what these 5G crowd control boxes look like. It's not a very clear picture that I've shown. I can Google around while we watch the video more. Interesting stuff, definitely educational, great video. What is 5G and what isn't?
When they reached 400 or more satellites in orbit, that they would activate them. So at this point in time, we don't know if they have activated those satellites or not. We do know that if they haven't already, it could literally happen at any moment. The OneWeb company has 74 5G satellites orbiting Earth, but they declared bankruptcy just a few days ago, and so we don't know what's going to happen with those 74 satellites. Are they going to become space junk, or is some other company going to buy them and take them over? We just don't know. We do know that there are plans for 120,000 new 5G satellites. 50,000 of those are planned by SpaceX, and the rest of them by other companies. And this is just in the US, by the way, because there are other companies in other countries that are also launching 5G satellites. And satellites do not stay confined to a particular area. The bottom line is every inch of planet Earth is going to be bathed in radiation 24/7, 365, with no place to hide, no sanctuary, no safety. And 5G does not only negatively impact humans, it also harms all life, plants, animals, trees, insects, the pollinators, everything. Please visit our website at keepyourpower.org for more information. We have a couple of petitions up there. One is a petition to stop 5G until it can be proven safe. We also have a petition up there against the giant 5G drones. You can also join our newsletter list. We hope that you will, because I'm constantly sending out calls to action when we need you to step up and submit testimony or send emails or voice your opinion, show up at hearings, all kinds of things. So it's a really good way to stay informed and to know when to take action. We have a Facebook group called 5G Free Hawaii. Please check us out on Facebook. And right now we have a GoFundMe campaign going. And if you go to GoFundMe and search 5G Hawaii, our campaign will show up. We are raising money because we need to buy certified meters to test the cell towers and antennas. And we want to purchase 1 meter for each of the main islands because it is the wild, wild west of wireless here in Hawaii. Basically, the telecom companies are self-regulating and no one is policing them. That means that their towers and antennas could be emitting way over the allowable limits and we would never know. So by having these certified meters, certified to be accurate, we can track and record and hold big telecom accountable. So please check out our GoFundMe campaign. Search under 5G Hawaii. We need to buy special meters to test cell towers. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Aloha.
So to measure the full spectrum, you'd need 0 to 100 gigahertz measuring instruments, but from 600 to 30 gigahertz, then you'd also have most of it probably. Let's see. All right. Great video, Dr. Deborah Green. Okay, and the other one, smart cities coming to your area. You reap what you sow. My knee is beginning to hurt more now. And it's very well possible they do it with scalar technology. Or it's caused by the 5G antennas. Or souped up 4G antennas, or whatever they are, of LTE.
Hey everyone, just thought I'd do a quick live for you from Melbourne City. Just been walking around, just seeing what has been going on while we've been sleeping here, and have a few things that have come about. We now have small cells on corners everywhere. You can see it up on top of the pole. It has the radiation advice on it. On that pole, you've got a small one up on top of that pole. Looks a bit older. Over here as well. Somewhere right there.
I was wondering, isn't that the 5G crowd control? Perhaps these are relay boxes, that's another possibility. And this is the antenna, so basically this can relay signals from other antennas. Antennae. And this is on, where's the page? Doesn't say what page, but this is supposedly the crowd control box. And it doesn't look the same. Perhaps as what we see here, though a bit similar. So that's why I was wondering.
Yeah, so that one hasn't been listed yet. These aren't up on the RFNSA website yet. There's a few there. I'm just going to walk along and show you what they're putting into the city here. So if we walk along and have a look, they've now got the smart bins up and running as well. So these smart bins tell you when they're full or empty, so ready for people to use. I'm just going to wander along Burke Street now and have a bit of a look at where we can see these cells and smart meters and smart city initiatives. I think the biggest thing for people to realize is that this is happening now while we're in lockdown, of course. I'm out here exercising and exercising my rights to have a look at my beautiful city and what's happening here. Sorry, that was a bit close. But these are everywhere. So I've just walked a lap of the city and counted over 300 of them in the last half an hour. I mean, they're everywhere. They're on every single corner. The other thing they've done is using the areas where they've got Wi-Fi. They've put facial recognition cameras throughout the city as well. So these are everywhere along the city too. As you wander along, they've got them on top of information towers, pretty much everywhere as you go through. This is in Melbourne City, of course. We had a person put up a post earlier from Sydney, and I was a bit like weirded out. I kind of thought that maybe there wasn't going to be that many there. Sorry, here. So I thought I'd do a lap of the city myself. And they are everywhere. And I mean, the weird thing here is it's Sunday and usually you have people walking all along the city, but today there's pretty much no one here. A couple of police cars around, but that's about all. So when you look here again, as I say, these are everywhere, the smart bins. That one looks like it's full. It's got the settings button flashing as well. You continue walking along. They've got the Telstra Wi-Fi phone sort of things all along Burke Street Mall. They used to have one of them. Now there's about 6 of them along here. Again, use the small cells. You can see the little cells on top of them. I'm a bit reluctant to film those because there are police cars all the way along here as well. It is a bit of an eye-opener. It's a bit daunting as well to see how many of these there actually are. It's kind of got me, feeling a bit off about the whole thing, because I think every one of these signs has the little radiation sticker on it as well. And that's where you start thinking, how can we be putting this out to the world, like where it is already, known that there's radiation coming from these cells, and we've put from, minimal ones around to hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds of them. And I mean, face recognition cameras everywhere as well. So here's another one of the smart bins. So the smart bins using Wi-Fi from all the cells that are around as well. We call it the Smart Cities Initiative here in Melbourne. I think they call it that in other places as well. So here at the other end of Burke Street Mall, you've again got up there the facial recognition camera, the small cell sitting right on top of an information box, and then of course you've got Telstra right there on the corner. There it is, Telstra. So I think you'll find we might walk along this way, and I'll just have a look and see what we can see. There's another small cell sitting up on top of that post. We'll continue walking along. I'll try not to get hit by a tram, sorry madam. We'll keep walking along. Yeah, well, I guess you're right, nobody did sleep. So I think it's more just a matter of us trying to wake up. I'm just gonna walk along here and see if we can see any. I'll get to the next corner. Sorry if it's a bit boring. Obviously you guys would have seen the post today. We've got actions happening in Mullumbimby. Zev the warrior is out there with all the guys who have been campaigning for the last year, trying to get that stopped. Some papers were handed out today, cease and desist papers. Now hopefully that does the job that it needs to, so that's at least waylaid the works going on there for a week, if not longer. So that's a fantastic result for the guys there in Mullumbimby with all the hard work that they've put in. Again, there's some little tower things along here. I'm just, again, remiss to take too many videos of it because there are police cars. It's pretty much a few people wandering around in police cars. I'm surprised again to see anyone out and about, but obviously everyone's exercising and exercising their rights to exercise. The biggest thing I guess I'm seeing on most corners, and probably haven't seen one for a couple of steps now, but the facial recognition cameras, they are hidden away in some spots. It is all part of the Smart Cities Initiative that we're all told about. All the traffic posts here have the pedestrian crossing being automatic now, so for people not to touch it because of what's out and about with the COVID thing. I'm just trying to find the next small cell around. There'll be one here somewhere. So they are quite hidden away in some points, and you've got to really look to find the yellow radiation stickers. I've probably gone a bad direction to show you where they all are, but we'll get up to the next intersection and I'll show you. So they're about every 100 meters, 150 meters. This is another one of the facial recognitions, brand new. They are pretty much scattered everywhere. I do understand needing CCTV surveillance in the city because it can get quite busy, of course, here and whatever else, but it's more the fact that they've got these facial recognition cameras now. In Melbourne, they're looking to understand and know, they want to know who's coming in and out of the city at all times. So it's full surveillance, 24/7. If you read on the Smart Cities piece of paperwork, on the internet, it tells you all about it, how they're trying to read and work out how many people are coming in and out of the city all the time. They want to know each person. 24/7, they're going to rate people and know, how many numbers are coming in and out, so they know which foreign bodies are in their cities. They're going to have bins that they know what's happening, like if they're full or empty or whatever else. So there's a lot of different things happening with that as well. Here's another one. So as I say, every corner Doesn't matter where you are, it's pretty much every single corner you go through. Some have one, some have two, some have three. That's your facial recognition camera there on the next corner. So as I say, they are everywhere. I might walk up this hill and just show you a few more along here. They're also on top of some of the stop signs as well. So here, I'll give you guys, we're out in the country, whatever else, a bit of a look at Melbourne. Whoops, that's my face. So here's our trams all running along. So it is a beautiful city, but the thing is they're cutting down trees. They're, as I say, putting up these small cells everywhere, every 100 meters. You gotta remember again, it's 5G radiation that's pumping out of here. So millimeter waves, it doesn't travel as far. So they need to put these little small cell towers up every 150 meters or so to 200 meters. Again, you still have them up on top of buildings and things like that. So that's what they always used to have. It would be really great to have an EMF reader here with me, but I just don't have that. So there's your facial recognition cameras on every single corner. I'll see if there's any more as I walk along. I'm just gonna wander up the next little hill. As I say, they put them on top of some of the stop and parking signs as well. I got some before, but I haven't seen one for a minute. Here's one here. So they put them up on top of the stop parking signs here. And they've got the radiation warning on them as well. Those ones are about every 5 to 6 signs. So again, about every 100 meters. If you didn't know what they were, if you didn't know what you were looking for, you wouldn't notice them. They have a little sticker with the radiation symbol. I'll show you one if I get up to one up here. But it literally is the whole city. So I think it's really just the idea of making sure that everyone's regulated 24/7, and people honestly are just not awake to what's happening. So I think it's a little bit scary in that way. There's one of the ones on a street light over to the side here. I don't know if I can film it because there's a bit too many people around right there. As I said, I am exercising. You can probably hear me puffing already. Haven't been for a walk for a long time. There's one there. So just to give you an idea, this is a different way of how they can look. So I'll try and cross this road without getting killed. I can see one right there. So again, hard to spot. So right there across the road. And if you get up nice and close, you can see the sticker on it as well. But that's one there. Small cells, you might be able to see the yellow stickers on it. It's not really focusing on it. But there's one straight across the road there. There's another one just over there. You can see the yellow sticker on that as well. So as I say, they are popping up everywhere, and it has happened, you know, when everyone's been inside. I understand, you know, the idea of moving forwards and having
5 cancer G stickers, that's an idea. And what was the other thing that I wanted to say? I'm gonna put up some aluminum foil in the meantime. Great video. I didn't know it was that bad already in some areas, in some places on Earth. And I feel sorry for the people living there, and I hope they shield and roll back 5G. And there are legal ways to achieve that. Down with the death towers and up with, for example, radiant energy of Nikola Tesla, scalar towers, as long as they use healing frequency. So the question is, to what extent is that usable? And or do they want to keep the technology secret? They're already determining the rest of our lives with this technology. Who gets to live, and the 7 billion of us that have to die with the scalar technology. They can clone disease patterns, and that's still going on as well, on top of the 3, 4 and 5G cancer cell phone networks. So what can we do? Legal methods, demonstrations, protests, when that's permissible. At the moment it's not permissible, I think, in most countries, if any countries. And that's another reason some people think that it's done deliberately. The virus is a cover for the 5G rollout. And I'm not going into that deeply now. So the point is that government has to listen to all these scientists, professors and doctors, and look at these studies that prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the 5G cancer cell phone radiation is harmful and not harmless. Because otherwise they will be in it themselves and it will be total hell on earth and all these organisms are going to die, and then they're going to bring back the species with their seed bank in Norway. Perhaps that's their plan. We know their plan is sustainability, and that many scientists claim that this planet is not sustainable unless we reduce the global population to 500 million, some even 100 million total global population. So that means 99% of us have to die, according to these people.
You know, the new technologies and everything in place, but it's really just understanding that you're pumping out this radiation everywhere, and it's a little bit scary, I guess you'd say. Again, all for technologies and everything else, but it's really just understanding what this is going to do when these are all turned up to 5G, without knowing what ramifications it will have for people, humans. I'm just going to continue walking along. And some of you probably haven't seen the city for a few weeks or a month or 2 months or whatever else. And they've done it in such a discreet way that you're not going to be able to see everything unless you really look. So again, you've got one over there. It's about another 100 meters up the road. I'll keep walking along. They're on the sides of buildings as well, but they really blend in. I'll see if I can find one on the side of a building for you. Quite often they're on churches, funnily enough. But
it occurred to me that Sherlock Holmes is Watson, if that is what they're watching.
But I think in that case, people get paid for having these where they are as well. Oh, here's another one here, right there. Zoom in. So on the corner, where are we? Up there. See another one there. Just keep wandering along again, try not to trip over. Here's one right here in front of me. Just there. And again, you can see the radiation sticker here. So it's actually saying it's in plain sight. It's right in front of people's noses, but they don't see it. People here are walking past and no idea. You got your radiation sticker right there. You got your facial recognition across the road up there. I think on this corner you've got a few of those. I can't see the next one. Oh, there's another one. I'll just walk up the road here without getting killed again. There is another one a little bit further along. I've only walked, how far have I walked? Probably 300 or 400 meters, and maybe that's about 10 or 15 of them that we've seen. I'll walk a little bit further and then I'll get going because I don't want to get arrested for exercising my right to exercise too much. Hopefully that opens up people's eyes to see what's happening here in Melbourne. And it's not just happening here, it's happening everywhere. So if you get out at all into your streets, whichever city you're in, you'll see the same thing coming up. We'll just cross the road in a minute and have a look. But my thought process is, you know, keep going to your MPs, keep talking to your councils, go to them with intelligent, smart information about these smart cities. So here's another one just here, just there. So I would say, yeah, go to your MPs, talk to your councils, get your letters written about what's happening out here. Talk to them about the fact that it's not 2G, 3G, 4G, it's now 5. It's a different way of doing things. The point of it is as well that people aren't aware that this is not just about the radiation these things are going to emit, the fact that it's untested on people, humans. I put up a post earlier today about the farms where it's getting put into as well on animals to try and make it easier for them. Here's another brand new camera up there. It's the fact that these little radiation towers are getting put on every second pole as you walk along, and the fact that they're, as I say, not tested on humans. They're at the millimeter wavelengths. We know that they can't penetrate through walls and around buildings and foliage, so they're either cutting things down or they're putting these new towers everywhere. So if you're thinking every 100 meters one of these is there, it's going to be outside your school, your workplace. It's going to be every place you can think of, and they're talking about thousands of them. Like this little walk that I've done, how many have we seen already? And they're still putting them in. So there's still workers where I was driving on the way in here where they're putting these things up, and I feel like you need to remember that these are sort of happening. There's another one over there, straight across the road, up there. They don't all look the same. You're not going to be able to recognize them all. Maybe here in Melbourne they do stand out a little bit more because they're not on just like black poles like they are in some of the other cities. Ours kind of look like they are, you know, you can tell that they're cell towers or whatever else, or small cells. I'm just trying to find one on the side of a building for you so you can get an idea of what that's doing. I'll try and get out here again at some stage, and I'll bring out an EMF reader so you can get an idea of what it's doing, the way that it's getting this radiation around. The other thing they're doing here, and I asked the Telstra people, is where these Telstra Air things are. So there used to be a few of them in the city. There's now hundreds of them in the city. And I asked the lady there, how does that work? And she said, again, it's like a small cell. She gave me a lot of information. I should have actually recorded it, but I probably would have got myself actually put in jail. And yeah, I think people talking about the fact that burglars are going to get found and stuff, yeah, that was already happening anyway with CCTV. So you got another one up there across the road, and you got I think I just saw one here somewhere. Oh yeah, over there, straight over there. That's a brand new one there. Again, on top of one of the information towers. So if you've got any information towers, you're going to learn about, you know, small cells as well. That's that one up on top there. There. I guess that's about it. I think I'll do one more lap back to the car. We've only walked one block, as I said. I don't know how many, I didn't count them, but there was quite a few there. I'll just walk back to the end of this block here. All we're going to do is continue to spread the word on these, let you guys know where they're at and what's happening. As I said, the onus is on you. Keep writing those letters to your council. Our guys in the background are putting together letters for you as well to get people to cease and not put these together anymore. As we get those letters out to you, you can get them onto your councils as well. Once you do that and get them out to the councils, if you see one getting put up, we're trying to put together a letter so you can actually go out there and not get yourself arrested and say, I do not want this. I do not consent to this being put up where I live, because it's so wrong what's happening right now without it being tested and regulated. So I think all of you have the onus on yourself to do it. Once we get a win at somewhere like Mullumbimby or wherever else, we'll then replicate that worldwide to as many places as possible. And I feel like once that momentum builds up and people realize that they can make a difference, that's where the tables are going to turn 100%, and we can make a big difference then. Nearly back to the car. I haven't really been looking. Oh, there's another one across the road here. So that was about 100 meters as well. Just keep walking along here. Give you another little bit of a look around Melbourne City. So it's dead. Usually on a Sunday you got cars and people everywhere, but obviously there's no one here. There's another one up on top of that sign just over there. I'm sure there's more to do with these light posts. Some of them do have radiation stickers on them. We'll try and get one up close to you as well. That's about all I've got from Melbourne. I'll just get up to this last corner and show you the other end of Bourke Street. So we'll wander along, showing you the side of a building. Yeah, so we'll have Zev on later on tonight, and we're going to have a chat to some of the guys from the Sydney technology groups, give you some more information of what's happening around all the different areas. Just be aware that we are doing our best to get these shut down everywhere. We're not going to stop. We're going to get this stopped worldwide, hopefully. We might not do it ourselves, but once one win happens, as I say, they're going to happen everywhere. So rest assured that you're going to be looked after by everyone. Everyone's in this together, and we can all make a huge difference. I'll show you these last couple now. So you've got here, where are we? One over that side of the road, on that corner. You got one on this corner, but it's behind the pole, so it's up there. And there's a third one. You've got one on top of this post. These are the ones that are harder to see, up on top of the post there. So you actually have them scattered everywhere. You probably have them up on top of the buildings here as well. I just can't see at the moment, and I'm running out of breath, so I'm gonna have to stop walking. So I'm gonna head back down towards my car. I don't know where I left it. Here's another one of the smart bins. These are the ones for me that really put it through that this is happening now. So these smart bins, and part of the Smart City initiative through Melbourne City, are everywhere. So there, as I say, they talk to the people and they let them know that the bin's full or whatever else. And that's part of why we need 5G technology and why we need it to be here to protect us or to make us have faster internet, when really it's about having a gridlock city where you can know everything that's happening 24/7 on all the people that are walking through, coming in and out of that city. And I feel like full surveillance is one of the scariest things you could ever imagine. On top of that, they're going to be taking all your data, stripping it away, and using it. Data, as Paul Seals said yesterday on an interview I did with him, data is the new oil. So you need to be really careful and be aware that your data is going to be getting stripped from you left, right, and center all the time. And I feel like if you're not aware to that now, then you're going to have all kinds of strife later on. You can't sort of renounce and go backwards once that stuff gets taken from you. Here's another one here, so you can see it up nice and close. This one has a company name on it saying it's out of service at the moment. Maybe because they don't want people cutting it down or whatever, and I wouldn't say do that. That's it up close, the transponder. And then the little cells are up the top of the tower, up there. So yeah, as I say, pretty inconspicuous. I guess that's about it. I'm gonna get back to the car, and hopefully you guys understand that yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that's going on. So keep an eye out, stay safe, keep pushing your local councils and your governments. See if you can get a letter from your doctor saying as a duty of care, radiation levels need to be at a certain level, and if you get sick, then they're going to go back to the council members or whatever else and sue them, because you really have your own health in your own hands. So you need to be able to go out there and say to them, this isn't right. So I'm going to get going. Peace. Look after yourself, everyone.
Yes, alright, so we all shouldn't lose hope, because the 7 billion people around us don't want to die either, and the scientific studies are available, and I've done broadcasts about it, so many millions of people already know the truth, and of course they don't want to be in it themselves either. So I can continue my foiling of the walls. The foliage. Aye. It's hurting the leg a lot. So it's my right kneecap, and sometimes it becomes more painful, and also when I'm standing it's pretty painful. And it's possible they do that with scalar weapons. but then all the shielding I do has no shielding property qua scalar wave radiation. But it definitely blocks out cancer cell phone radiation, so it does help a little bit. And of course people have a right to physical integrity, and the state is just a legal person, it's a group of people, and they have certain laws to keep as well. But what if they don't? That's when we all do. And they control instructions, police officers, military, with the same remote torture technology. It was used to torture my mother to death and my teeth out of my mouth. So I'm trying to put it on the places where I think most radiation is entering my room, so that it's in between my body and the cell phone antenna, and you only have to ground it in one place. And I'm using as little amount of tape as possible. So I think people are mind controlled and are setting the right example. You can get others to follow, and the bigger the real resistance to death is, the bigger the resistance to the people that want to annihilate us all. They're using scientific methods to achieve this nefarious goal. So 5G is stupid, and smartwatches, anything that uses cancer cell phone radiation is stupid and evil. And I never used cancer cell phone radiation. So I'm for getting rid of it all. I don't need to make these cancer cell phone calls. I can use normal telephone lines. And in the Netherlands, like 80% of people might still have their normal telephone line as well. Let's do another layer. And also start at this side, of course. But this is more difficult, and I have to lift up this veil that I have on the wall. Foil and attach it. So what I'm doing is I'm just rolling out some foil. And then I put tape on the outer ends. Double tape, double-sided tape may be harder to remove, so I'm using single tape, but big thick tape type, not little tape. Not little office desk tape, but big rolls that are used for pallets and boxes and stuff. And then I put that on top of the foil. And you have to watch out with it because it can be static and then it's hard to steer where it lands on the foil. Almost impossible to steer. Okay. So now I put the foil in a strategic position, and then I have to lift it with the heel basically to the wall that I put the aluminum foil on. And originally this was a veil piece of cloth for projecting video on the wall. There my wall fell. Hopefully it's still alright. The foil is not ripped. So it is ripped. That will cost more tape. Sometimes the broad tape splits basically and it's not easy. This is a very low fix. course I have to do this first before I can do anything else. Since my leg is hurting and I'm hearing that, well, at the moment there's little or no ringing in the head anymore. But my leg is hurting, though I'm standing normally. It goes away when I'm standing. So then I'm putting the foil back together again where it ripped. So, and then I should be able to put it from the other side. So it does take long, especially if you have stuff in your room and you cannot really get to the wall. It's not easy. First roll it out. No, still already. Double in some places, that's okay. Shielding opacity does increase somewhat when you use double layers. And then I'm going to have to lie down on my leg. So basically it's on the north wall. Northeast, northeast. And the southern, southwestern wall has the windows in it, so then I'd need foil for on the windows, otherwise if I'd put aluminum foil on it then I wouldn't have any sunlight anymore. But there is foil that can be put on the windows as well, so if you live somewhere permanently, you can make your home practically radiation free. And then the idea is also to ground it, so some heaters have grounding, so that can be used as ground, and then you just have to put the foil on whatever is grounded and then it's grounded as well. And people can also use plates, for example big cardboard. My knee is hurting a lot now. Perhaps I should make an appointment, because this is too dangerous basically. It's really hurting a lot. Put colloidal silver on it, it also makes it cooler. And it seems to have, cooling seems to help. And I put that hormone ointment on there as well. So if it achieves that reaction in the skin, basically it's after centipede bites of Lithobius, and their venom is really harmless, but the infections, complications that can occur can be deadly. Tetanus, for example. And if I wouldn't have used colloidal silver, I would have died of tetanus already. And then people need tetanus antitoxin, not a tetanus vaccine, when they have to be treated, when they already have been bitten and infected, etc. So people that are sick know more about certain ways to heal, unless they're being treated. So they know about diatomaceous earth food grade and tea tree oil, its antiviral properties, that it's scientifically proven to be antiviral, and the fact that some natural cures exist. So for example, tea tree oil has antiviral properties, but they may not be allowed to claim it is a cure for certain things. However, we can still get tea tree oil, that's no problem. So the idea is, if it's airborne, then it's best to create an atmosphere for ourselves in which the virus cannot survive, to decrease chances that we get infected, etc. And I think that chances are high that there's a real virus that doctors have observed under a microscope, and otherwise they cannot convince everyone that there's a real virus. Especially if it has elements of HIV, if it's because of an antigenic shift or because of other reasons that HIV ended up in there. Then that means it's different from SARS-CoV-1 and influenza virus. So now I can use my measuring instrument, see if there's any difference in the amount of radiation. Oh, 0.3, 0.2. Yeah, that's better than it was. I think it was 0.6, 0.7. So about halved it basically, though I didn't put it on the full wall. It's basically 3 strips of foil in the middle of the wall. So basically from my head to my genitalia, just about. 3 strips of foil on the wall, and on the sides 2 long strips that go, well, not down to the ground, but from higher up to further down. So yeah, that's better. And then I can make a circle in my room with the measuring device. I still hear the frequency. Oh no, it's at 0.7 if I stand here. 0.9. Though it's pointing in that direction. And I have a low bat warning, so that means there may be low flying bats in the area. Oh, low battery, okay. It also means that the readings might not be accurate anymore. It was still going down, so it's first have to charge the battery. But I'm sure there's less than before I put up the foil in the, what is it, 700 to 2500 megahertz range. When I protested against the rollout of cancer UMTS, I didn't undergo chemotherapy. I had not undergone chemotherapy yet. Don't know why they don't allow me to say that. So when I protested, demonstrated against the rollout of cancer UMTS antennas, I had not undergone chemotherapy yet. It's so easy. But I am hearing the ringing in the head, and I think it is from these antennas. They're not doing it with the scalar weapons. Why would they? It's and why? Because they look like new antennas, because they tested the 5G antennas. The test report is online and they're using 4G LTE technology. So it's nothing new basically, it's just extra cancer cell phone radiation on top of the 4G cancer cell phone network radiation. And it will be in a much higher amount, so that's clear. They're also gonna roll out satellites and little cancer cell phone antennas on every street corner, so that people are radiated everywhere. There will not be any way to hide from it anymore. Possibly to reduce the global population to 500 million, 5G, 500 million. We know it's 5th generation, you don't have to tell us that. 5D generation, I've heard also. So yeah, I'm horrified by this, and I think many people are, especially people that have been negatively affected by the cancer cell phone radiation already, that cannot press charges because they pretend it's below safety standards, though they're not real safety standards, they're unsafety standards. So that is where the problem lies, why people cannot press charges of the damages caused by cancer cell phones and cancer cell phone antennas. And yet they keep on making money, of course. Once it's installed, then they have to keep on paying and paying and paying for their prescriptions, their membership, I mean. And basically they don't have to do anything. It's just money for nothing, basically. While the global population goes down. So overall, perhaps I can come up with an answer to my own question now. I think that there might be a little baby boom as well, because people are locked up together, and people that are usually working are not working anymore, so they're constantly together, etc. So that will also lead to a little increase in the amount of births, but overall people are keeping that distance rule, so they cannot get close together. But will that make any difference when people are attracted to one another? Then it might be even more exciting to get together in this period. I mean, there's no law against that, I guess, when they do that in their own home. Or is there? That's another good question. You would argue there is. The distance rule is there, so making love with anybody is impossible. Even when people are immunized with colloidal silver, they will have to maintain these rules. They'll have to keep these rules, I mean. And so basically it's illegal for them to make love with someone they've never seen before. Or even with people they have made love with before. But with their own wife or husband, it's still allowed, I guess. Even if that one went working and doing stuff outside. So yeah, where to draw the line when we know colloidal silver kills the virus? Well, the real line that I keep is the real law. So if it's codified law, for example, now we have the social distancing rule, so I will observe that rule. I'll keep the rule and abide by these laws. Also because I don't want to end up in jail, but because other people cannot see on the outside that I've used silver. They might not believe in its effectiveness or nor safety, and they can get violent when they are approached too closely by people. We see videos of that on YouTube as well. Especially now they're in the 5G radiation, which also affects their psyche, their mind, negatively. So according to sources, they can go insane because of the 5G cancer cell phone radiation exposure. So that one was over here somewhere, I think. I think this may be a speeding camera or something, but it is a camera, I think. So that keeps an eye on the street, on this street. De Nijver. What is this? Nijverheidsweg. So basically I put the foil on this side of the wall, so it's in between this antenna and my wall. The house is a bit like this, so the radiation comes a bit more from the right. So then I'm going to put foil over there as well, on the other wall. But it's all boring, and I'm also considering making an appointment at the physician, because it's too dangerous, it's hurting too much, then I do have to go to a doctor basically. And I wear my shielding hoodie. So I'm gonna phone for an appointment now. It's the 29th of April 2020, Wednesday. So if I don't return, then that's how it went. Thank you all for watching. I think I'm giving some good tips, so we can do something about this legally. Also the government, it's the government's job to protect and serve us. So then they have to look at these studies that have proven beyond any reasonable doubt that it's harmful and say, well, then we have to roll back 5G and consider radiant energy, scalar wave technology of Nikola Tesla, and perhaps they already know that it's safe, and then they only need one antenna because it can go straight through the Earth, and that's where it's going right now as well. So they don't need satellites to torture people. And it's possible this pain is induced with the scalar technology to let me go to a doctor to get me prescribed with chemicals, cancer-causing prescription drugs or whatever. Of course, at the doctors I'm not going to say anything about all that. I'm going to say my knee was damaged and it most probably got infected after it started hurting. And you can still see that it was damaged basically, that is almost healed now. But so the pain is not visible physically, but it's tremendous pain in my legs. I'm gonna make an appointment. Unless you guys have a better idea, let's see if anybody has written anything new in the chat. Thank you for the links, Tony. Melbourne, Australia, set it as smart city yet. Horrible. It's a horror for people, especially electrosensitive people, but everybody will be electrosensitive, so on the other hand, perhaps it's a good thing to bring us closer together. Thank you all for watching. Please spread, like and share on your timeline, and thank you all for your likes and subscribes. And see you all next time on Perfect Society. And let's do healing things and abide by all laws so that we don't lower ourselves to their level criminal. Expose sustainability and other scams to get rid of the global population, and keep clear that they have to be arrested. It's illegal incitement to commit genocide in the sense of the Genocide Convention, though they may deny it. Of course they lie. They don't want to be put in prison themselves. They want us all to die. Thank you all for watching. See you next time on Perfect Society. Kiss for single ladies who would like one. Ow, my hurting leg. I have to make an appointment. Peace out.